Hello, I'm Patrick, and this is Alicia, and we're going to tell you about the month we spent with the beautiful boy Atlas. As a German Shepherd, Atlas has very typical German Shepherd behaviors. He's quite anxious, and this came across on our first journey on our car ride home. So he barked a lot at pretty much everything, and this is not atypical for German Shepherds. This is just him reacting to a new atmosphere, a very anxious time. So when he sees other dogs, cyclists, cars, and so on outside, he's just really reacting to it. As time went on, as you can see in this photo here, over time he actually just really settled down. It's really important just to reassure him, let him know he's okay, that he's secure. Here, Alicia sat in the back of the car with him and was just able to really comfort him. After riding in the car a couple of times, he really settled down, but the first few trips certainly were a stark contrast where he was just very anxiety driven towards everything. But that is totally normal for a German Shepherd.
The thing about Atlas is that you have to give him a chance to get to know you. And this doesn't happen right away. It may take a couple of days, a week, or even a month for him to fully settle down. But once he gets to know you and gets comfortable around you, he is a very sweet and affectionate dog. He loves people, he loves to cuddle, he loves to snuggle, and he is a joy to have around the house.
When he first joined the household, as opposed to really kind of getting in his face as a new dog, it's pretty important to just, let him sit down, let him come to you as opposed to you coming to him, and he'll really respond well to that. The first night that we had Atlas, we just sat down on the couch and kind of did our own thing, and pretty soon he came over to us and was kind of giving us little kisses and wanted to be included. So as opposed to really getting in his business, let him be the one to approach you and come over to you, and he'll do it pretty quickly. Atlas absolutely loves toys. He loves to fetch. He's not particularly food motivated, but thankfully he will just go gaga for fetch and any toys at all. His favorite toy, without a doubt, is called a Jolly Ball. So this is a ball within a ball which has holes on the outside, and I don't know what it is about the Jolly Ball that he is obsessed with, but he cannot stop playing with that ball all day. So be sure to get a Jolly Ball for Atlas. He loves playing with this and actually kind of like tied a rope to it, and he will tug and pull it and play all day. He's very toy motivated, and so if you want to come over to you and like have him sit, lie down, and so on, he will happily do that.
Atlas wants constant attention and reassurance, and part of that is, as an anxious German Shepherd, he wants to seek out the reassurance that his new companions are listening to him and giving him all the love that he deserves. So at the beginning, he may bother you a little bit while you're doing work. He may constantly seek throws of the ball. Over time, we found that he settled down. And this is going to be a common theme that we'll discuss with you with Atlas. It may take a few days, it may take weeks to see like substantial progress with Atlas, but after a month it was like night and day. So if you give Atlas a chance, he will be a very good dog because he is very people motivated, he is very eager to please, and he wants to work to be a good boy for you. And in fact, Atlas is so affectionate around people that he'll greet you with a big bear hug when you come through the door, if you've left him home alone for a little bit, or when you're waking up in the morning. In fact, we had cameras installed in our living room just to watch how the dog was doing, and we noticed that he'll often sit by the door waiting for his person to come back, or he'll sit outside your bedroom door while you're sleeping because he just wants to be as close to his companions as possible. And also, if you have friends coming over, if he can see that they're friends and you've indicated that you're friends with them, he will be very affectionate towards other people. So Atlas is definitely a people-oriented and people-motivated German Shepherd.
Yeah, and even when walking him around the neighborhood here, if anybody came by and greeted or said hello, he was always extremely friendly with other people. Atlas is a really good communicator if you know how to listen. He will call for attention or may bark if he needs to go outside and do his business, as an example. So just be sure to listen attentively to what he's trying to tell you, because he is a good communicator. And if you don't, you may find that he does his business inside when he's been telling you, hey, I want to get outside, and go outside to do it there. Atlas is pretty good to go on walks with. One thing to note is that because he's not very food motivated, you just really need to constantly reinforce settling down when he's in the vicinity of other dogs. Generally, other dogs will react to him as opposed to him reacting to other dogs. And if another dog initiates barking, he will generally bark back. So it's just important to reassure him, let him know that he's okay, and any kind of distraction technique that you can use ahead of coming across a dog encounter is good to do too.
And in particular, you want to use the commands leave it and off before the sort of encounter has been initiated, so he knows that he's supposed to leave it alone. The other thing about Atlas that's important to keep in mind is that he's a big boy, and like many German Shepherds, he likes to be a little bit of an escape artist. So make sure that you have him fully clipped into his vest, the harness is on tight, and that the clip is in both the collar and the vest before you head out for your walk.
Yeah, and let him know that he's a good boy as well. Just really kind of reinforce or keep with the positive reinforcement after a dog encounter, so he knows that, hey, like, he's done a good job. Not barking is a great job done. Atlas is quite genteel. He will play if you're a bigger person, but if you're a smaller person like Alicia, he's not going to be as rough. He does have what we called a kind of a crazy dog mode, where he'll go on his back and give out little howls like a wolf. He'll go, "Arr!" And if you rub his belly during this time, he'll kind of chomp gently at your hand. When I say chomp, I mean like he's literally kind of gingerly putting his teeth around it, as opposed to biting it. Generally though, no real mouthing behavior. He just he's very good all of the time that he's not in wild dog mode. And wild dog mode is kind of really a play mode when he's just lying on his back, turning around like in the photo here.
Atlas is an absolute sweetheart, and we discovered that some of the assumptions that we might have had about him weren't true. For example, he is perfectly fine to be left home alone for a couple of hours. He usually sleeps or hangs out on the couch or in front of the door waiting for us to return. And he really is quite a lovely companion. The more time that you spend with Atlas, the more chill he's going to be. By the end, he liked to sit outside in the sun and just kind of enjoy the day. At the beginning, he'll require much more reassurance and affection and constant praises, but that's just because he wants to know that his new companions are paying attention to him and that he's being a good boy. Although sometimes he doesn't know how to express that, and it will come across as barks or anxiety, but over time that should settle down.
Here you can see Atlas really settling in as a good work companion. One of the nice things about having Atlas in the basement was that he was nice and cool. Another place he used to spend time was kind of hanging outside the back door with half his body outside and half his body inside, so he could be protective of the backyard and while also seeking refuge inside of the house where it was a little bit cooler. Having the windows or blinds down was also a good idea. If there's a lot of dog or car and people traffic out the front or sides of your house, Atlas may react to it. So if you put the blinds down, this mitigates this entirely.
And it's also important to keep in mind that Atlas will be most reactive when he first enters a new environment. We had him for a month. He was very reactive in the first week, and over time that reactivity diminished, and towards the end he wasn't even barking at dogs that were going by.
Even though he's a very big boy, it doesn't mean he necessarily needs a ton of exercise. What we usually did with him was we take him out for a walk in the morning, the afternoon, and the evening. And the morning, each of these walks was probably 1 to 2 miles. Beyond 2 miles, he would get tired. So like during the weekend, we take him out on longer hikes. So here we are at Poo Poo Trail, and about 2.5, 3 miles into the hike, he said, "Hey guys, I've had enough." And you'll see his won't be his familiar kind of lie down, sit down strike up on the trail when he's had enough. So here he is saying, "Guys, it's time to go back to the car." So he doesn't need a major amount of exercise.
The other thing about Atlas on a trail is actually we had him about 2 weeks at this point, and we were amazed because we were able to walk him about 5 miles on Poo Poo, and he didn't bark at a single dog during the trip. And a key to that was, again, sort of reinforcement before an interaction with the dog, saying leave it or off, keeping him out of the dog's path. And then afterwards, when he didn't bark, constantly praising him and saying, "You're such a good boy, Atlas. What a great job."
Over the course of the month, Atlas brought so much joy to her life. He really transformed from the anxious dog he was at the outset to being really part of the family after a month. So it really broke our hearts to let him go.
We hope that you'll give Atlas a chance to blossom into the dog that we saw him to be. He is truly a wonderful boy. He just needs a loving home and somebody who has a little bit of patience to let his true inner soul shine.